Welcome to the Dementia Researcher Salon. I'm Adam Smith, and it's great to be back here again to host our weekly webinar talking about research, careers, and all the things that are good for dementia researchers. Joining me this evening, we have Wasiu Balogun. Hi. Technical problems. Unfortunately, Wasiu didn't manage to join me in the pre-conference lobby, so we haven't had much time to chat in advance and rehearse like we usually would, where we'd check screen share. But I can see you there. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Brilliant. We haven't had anybody turn up yet, but I'm sure you're all on your way. Just to give you a recap, so let's start again. Hello, I'm Adam Smith, and welcome to this week's webinar where we explore careers, research topics with expert guest speakers. I'm Adam Smith. I'll be your host for today's session, and also as well, I'll be one of this evening's presenters alongside Wasiu Balogun, who is here to talk about raising and building your profile and how it can help your academic and research career. In today's competitive academic and research landscape, having a strong professional profile isn't just beneficial, it's essential. Whether you're looking to secure funding or collaborate or find other leading researchers to work with or even transition into new roles, how you present yourself can open doors to incredible opportunities. But what does it take to stand out? There's some of the things we're hoping to address this evening. And today, we're going to share some of our own experiences and tips on networking and careers development. A lot of what I'm going to talk about will be about the Dementia Researcher service that, of course, you're here using this evening. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And for those of you that are new, the format is essentially that Wasiu and I will each give a 10-minute presentation, and then we're going to have a little bit of a chat and give you a chance to put your questions forward as well. And then we can join you in the chat for you to share your own experiences and tips with the other people who are watching. So we're going to start with presentations. We didn't get a chance. Are you using slides, Wasiu?
No, actually, I started building a slide, but then I stopped and I have a write-up.
That's okay. No, it's not an essential. You don't have to have slides. But I was going to invite you to present first, unless you need a little bit longer. I don't mind.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, I plan to talk first and
Okay, well, in that case, I'll hand over to you and let you give your 10-minute talk first.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be on this platform. So, and today I want to share my experience as a young career scientist on how to build yourself, how to sell yourself, how to build your own profile in this very competitive scientific field. So the field is competitive, although it can accept everybody, and you have to be the one to speak for yourself. Nobody is going to sell you. You're going to be the one to sell yourself. So I plan on talking on 4 things that I think can help you build your profile, and based on my own experience too. And the first thing is that before you can build your profile, you have to build yourself. So the first thing to develop is yourself. You have to be intentional about yourself. You have to know what you want to do with your life. You have to decide that, okay, I want to be a dementia researcher. I want to be a neurobiologist. I want to contribute to the scientific community. My plan is to be an assistant professor in the next 5 years. My plan is to become a K1 grant winner in the next 2 years. My plan is to. So the first thing is to be intentional about what you want to do with your life. And the first thing is to have goals that, okay, what do I want to become in the next 5 years? What do I want to achieve in the next 2 years? And while having these goals, you have to develop yourself along the way. And there are various ways to develop yourself. The first is to continuously um, educate yourself, continuously go for knowledge, continuously read book, read journals, read and read, and be aggressive about taking new knowledge, because no knowledge is lost. Even if you think you don't need the knowledge today, you might be needing it later in the future. So you have to develop yourself by going for more certification. If you have a PhD already, there are several certificates that you can go for that can help you and that can help you stand out of the other people. So yeah, the first and the most important thing is that you have to develop yourself. Another thing is that there is a popular saying that show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. You have to make friends with like minds. You have to form a kind of relationship with people who have similar goals with you, either when you're at work or when you're at home, when you're in graduate school, or when you are in the library or anywhere you find yourself. You always come across people. So you want to make sure that these people that you call your friends are people whose aim and objective of life align with yours. You have to be sure that these are not people who will derail you from your goals that we mentioned earlier. So, and I bring myself into this case. So, some of the best decisions I have made in my life were decisions that I made with my friends, and I'll give you an example. So, the first paper I published, and which had my highest citation so far, was the paper I published with some of my friends when we were doing our masters. So we just thought, okay, why there is a popular herb that is used in managing diabetes in our local community. Why can't we just come together and research on its scientific um, potential? So, and we published these, and so far it had within 10 years, it had close to 100 citations. And aside these, it has brought me many reviewing jobs from top journals because of this publication. So I believe that when you have friends, they can also help you grow, and they can also help you build your own profile. Another thing is that while you're working and like trying to be better than others, many of us tend not to look after our mental health. So you want to make sure that you're looking at your mental health. You are very sure you're not like becoming depressed, maybe because results are not going the way you want it, maybe because some of your goals are not falling in line. So mental health is very important, and like it's something that many of us don't like to talk about. So you want to make sure that you're not like putting yourself under any stress. And for those of us who are in dementia research, so when you're putting yourself under stress, it might make you a candidate for Alzheimer's disease, and you could become a participant for a cohort study instead of like being the one doing the studies. I don't know if you get my logic. So it's very important to take our mental health very important. Another thing I wanted to talk about on the be intentional section is that you have to be committed. Nothing great comes easy. You have to pursue your goals, you have to be dedicated, you have to be aggressive, you have to know that even if it doesn't work, how can I change my plan? How can I go to B? How can I have alternative plans? So you have to be committed. You have to always show up. You have to, people have to know that you're making effort, even if the effort is not productive yet. But the fact that you're working hard, it shows that you're going to get something. And like I said earlier, no knowledge is lost. So if it doesn't work now, it will work later if you keep trying and you keep making corrections to your mistake. So I believe that those are some of the things that are important in developing yourself. And why you are developing yourself, and another way to develop your profile is to volunteer. So in this, I will bring another case again. So there is a society called Trend in Africa that I once volunteered for. So we had to go to a high school in Nigeria to talk to them about mental health and drug abuse. And this, why teaching these students, it also helped me in like looking at where I was coming from and where I'm going into. So it's always a good thing to volunteer, and people rate volunteering very high in your profile. So when you show them what what you've done in the volunteering business, they tend to understand that it shows that you've been able to judge others. Like maybe you're volunteering to serve as a judge in a poster session, maybe in the postdoc association meeting or in a local scientific conference. So those things help in building a great profile. Also, you could volunteer to speak at events for young ones, like I said earlier, or in even if it's in a religious setting. So it helps to build your profile, and it also like help to build confidence. So those are some of the things I wanted to talk about with regards to volunteering. Another thing is collaborating. So I don't know those of if we all know about soccer. The great the great Pele, the Brazilian soccer player, said that no individual can win a game by themselves. So what he's trying to say is that no man can make a team. You have to work with others if you want to achieve greatness. So like I said earlier, one of my best publication was the publication I published with my friend in Nigeria. So while trying to work with others, you're also going to build yourself. And they also say that two good heads are better than one. So when you collaborate as a team and you know what you're doing, you'll be building your profile in that regards. And finally, because of the time, is mentoring. So mentorship is something we cannot stop talking about for young career scientists, because you why building others, you'll be building yourself along the way, because you might be thinking that, oh, if I tell them to do A, it will bring B. However, when they do it, it might bring C and D, and in that process, you're also going to learn. So mentorship is something very important that needs to be taken care of by early career scientists. So we can provide mentorship to undergraduates. Maybe they want to do their capstone project. Oh, Okay, I think my time is up. So basically, those are some of the things I wanted to share. And thank you for your time, and thank you for the audience. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's good. You make some really important points there. I think, particularly around publications and things. It's amazing um, how many people draw upon the kind of author list of publications to inform their work. I mean, I know I do the same thing myself. You know, if you're looking for students looking for potential supervisors, will look at publications in that area and see who's publishing papers in this. You'll also, of course, um, yeah. I mean, let me show my slides, and then I'll get into it because I don't want to jump ahead of myself. And I should qualify this that I made these slides about 15 minutes ago. So I forgot. I have to confess, I completely forgot that I wasn't just hosting this evening, that I also had to present myself. So I have to apologize if I appear anything other than entirely prepared. But what I'm going to talk about is raising your profile and essentially why that is important. So, as we started with, I think very clear, and something I don't really go into in my talk this evening, but a very clear, and I feel obvious, almost so obvious that I don't need to mention it, that having publications will contribute towards raising your profile. And I don't really go into that this evening. We've got other webinars out there that we've already done and are coming up in the future about the importance and how to go about publications. And I feel like you've probably already got enough pressure on you already to do that because it's part of your job. So what I'm going to talk about, or hope to convince you of today, is that raising your profile in other ways, you ought to consider that part of your job too, because it's going to help you and your career. And the reason why I say this is I know myself, when I'm looking for somebody or I'm thinking about who do I know who works in this area, or who do I know who does this kind of research, or who do I know who could give me advice on this, is entirely based on people I've come across. And it's mostly about widening your network. And that's what we'll get into. So I think it's very important these days for researchers to have visibility, that people know you. So when you do get to the point of putting in a grant application, or you're reaching out to people about potential collaborations, or you're applying for your next job, already having a name that is known, that's recognizable, it certainly helps from the outset. And that could be because people have seen you give a great talk, or they know you from social media, or they've met you at conferences. But making yourself very Googleable, so people immediately know who you are. You're not an unknown quantity. You're somebody they're familiar with, gives you a head start, particularly in anything that's competitive. And it also, as we said, helps you establish credibility then as well. If you do reach out to somebody new, they already know who you are. So let's move on. What did I say next? And I think there are various ways you can go about this. We've talked about publications already, but having a clear and compelling biography, and an active online presence, and taking opportunities to speak at events and networking opportunities, and potentially having a professional website or portfolio of your own. And when I say clear and compelling bio, so there are various ways to go about this. Of course, if you work in a university, you'll have a university bio, and you should go and proactively find out how you can take control of keeping that bio up to date, so that it isn't just pasted in there by HR with your job title and email address. Most universities now allow you to edit your bio to add, certainly at UCL where I work, we can add videos, we can add links to our talks, not just our publications. You can list in there other things that you're involved in, and we'll get into that a little bit more afterwards as well. And so building your online presence is a good place to start. So optimizing your LinkedIn profile, adding your headline and summary, adding your publications to that. And when I say share insights and engage with your academic community, I think people who are a little bit introverted could at least start this by retweeting things. So if you start to follow, for example, people you're interested in collaborating with, other people in your field of research that you think are important people you'd like to be associated with, finding them on social media and reposting their posts is a good way to become noticed by them. But what you won't really get from that is engagement. So another way to go a little bit further is to, when you can hit that repost and quote, is to add your own thoughts on that as well. And don't be shy or feel a little bit intimidated or let that imposter syndrome kick in, which is thinking that your opinion on that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got anything huge to say, but by sharing those posts and adding your opinion, you become somebody with opinions, you become interesting. And when you're then starting to apply for these other things, people will know you. They'll know you're somebody with opinion, hopefully with good opinions and sensible views. So make sure that you consider that. So engaging in that way, keeping your university bio up to date, and then sharing those insights. There are obviously the other places as well, like ResearchGate and Google Scholar, making sure that they're kept up to date with your latest profiles as well. Don't let them, or just assume that because you've got a new job now and you don't really need a profile, that you can neglect those things for a few years. Do make an effort, at least put it once a month in your diary to go back, even if it's in the evening or just for an hour, to add new things, because it's much easier to keep those things up to date while they're fresh in your memory than when you there's nothing worse. I hate politicians do this all the time. Politicians will really engage really strongly in social media when it comes to election time, and they'll tell you all the things that they've done, and then they'll disappear until the next election. I think you can avoid being that as an academic by keeping this up to date as you go. And then participating in relevant online discussions and groups. I mean, at Dementia Researcher, we provide lots of opportunity for that. I'm very frequent in emailing saying, I'm looking for people to participate in podcasts. We're looking for people to present in the salon. And whilst you might think that this is just a one-off talk presenting to 5 people in a room, I certainly know for Dementia Researcher, we take these talks, we package them up, we put them into YouTube, we tag your names in them. And so next time you're applying for a grant, or somebody's looking for somebody to review a paper, or you're applying for a job and you become Googled, when people Google you, they're going to find things and they're going to look back at this content and think, oh yeah, this is a proactive person. They're confident, they contribute, they do things. So all of this can add, particularly with your online presence as well. I would strongly suggest you go a little bit further by writing blogs and opinion pieces in your field. Many journals will allow you to write simple letters, not just publications. And I know we did a blog quite some time ago from somebody who was highlighting that obviously a paper can take months, if not years, to write and get published. However, you can write a strong opinion letter on publications or on the state of research in your area, and just as an opinion piece. And journals really don't get very many of these submissions, not as many as they would like to receive. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the high impact journals either. If you are funded by a charity in the UK, for example, Alzheimer's Research UK or Alzheimer's Society or the NIHR, you can write opinion pieces for BMC Open, and they're always happy to look at those. I kind of feel like this goes without saying, but presenting at conferences, webinars, podcasts, take us up on these opportunities that provide. When people call out and ask for speakers, do take that, because again, it all adds. People will see you, that you have opinions, that you get involved in these things, and opportunity leads to opportunity. So many of our bloggers at Dementia Researcher have fed back to me opportunities that have arisen through their writing. I know They've been invited to present at conferences. They've been invited on organizing committees for conferences and events. They've been invited to chair things. They've been invited as peer reviewers. They've won awards. All of these things wouldn't have happened had they not taken the time out to write and be a blogger. And what I'm hoping to convince you of is that you should see this as part of your job, not something that's just extra and taking more time that you don't have, that by doing this, it's going to open doors for you. Engage in public engagement as well. I mean, we work in Alzheimer's and dementia research. I'm a strong proponent for patient and public involvement, and taking opportunities to present your research to the public is always a good thing to do. And particularly if you can share that in accessible ways as well. There are other things you can do. When you next publish a paper, what's to stop you making a little presentation? Don't worry about having been invited to a conference or having an abstract to present it. What's to stop you recording a 15-minute presentation that you make off your own back with slides, where you thoroughly present the research in a way that you want to present it, and then posting that to YouTube? Never mind our platform. You post that to YouTube with the right title, with a good description, it will get found, and the algorithms will pick this up. You could break your research down into multiple screens, for example, and post to LinkedIn. You don't need somebody else's permission to do that. You might if there are other authors and supervisors, of course, but that's a basic thing you could do right now for all your previous research publications. Expanding your network, attending and participating in conferences, industry events, joining professional associations and research networks is great. Of course, you're already in the Dementia Researcher community. If you actually take some time out, not very many people are posting in the community, as you may have noticed, but if you take a little bit of time out to post in the community, to share things you've seen, share things you've heard, people will see who's posted that. They might comment back. And again, people are going to start to find that, hey, you're a like-minded person. There's somebody they'd like to be associated with, somebody who might be a good collaborator on their next grant application, somebody who might like to be involved in a study. And who knows, maybe a future employer if you're looking for a postdoc job, if you're coming out of your PhD. We have 800 members in the community, including many supervisors and senior researchers that might be hiring. And if they've seen you've posted in here regularly and shared good, sound opinions, then that might help. So do be proactive in connecting with others. So again, I think I'm recapping here a little bit, but keeping consistent in keeping your bios and things up to date. Good, up to date pictures is always a good idea. I get frustrated at Dementia Researcher on how many pictures I'm sent to add to people's bios, and they're a tiny little snip from a wedding picture from 6 years ago with flowers in hair. Get a good profile picture taken. If you're going to be at the Alzheimer's Research UK conference later this month, or the ECR retreat for Alzheimer's Society later this year, or if you're at AIC in Toronto this summer, all of those conferences provide opportunities for you to get a professional headshot. Make sure you use that. And be consistent. Use that same headshot across all of your profiles, whether that's LinkedIn, Blue Sky, X, on your ResearchGate profile, all these different places. So people recognize that it's you. They'll start to associate your face with your work. And that also helps when it comes to attending events where people actually recognize you as you are. So I've already talked about engaging with other people's content, and don't be afraid to show your personality and your unique perspectives in that, even if they differ from the author. Having opinions and being interesting is so important. And again, leveraging opportunities, guest lecturing, panel discussions, collaborating on research projects, engaging with media and policymakers. We often get asked by newspapers for people who might have an opinion on things. We share all of this in social media. Do take opportunities to do that. Don't let imposter syndrome and self-doubt get in the way. don't use the excuse that you're too busy to do this. It should be part of your job. So find time for that self-promotion. Navigate social media effectively, as much as social media is a very dynamic and dreadful place some of the time. But Blue Sky at the moment seems to be a very popular new platform where researchers are engaging with. It's worth trying that out. LinkedIn and Blue Sky, I think, are probably the two main ones to spend time. But I've also heard lots of stories from PhD students who get a great community built up from sharing pictures of their daily life and their research on Instagram, for example, or on Reels and these other platforms as well. It helps other people as well if you're just talking about your day job and your struggles, to make them feel that they're not alone, and people will start to relate to you on that kind of personal level. So find the platforms that suit you. So last time, key takeaways. I'm way over my 10 minutes, I feel sure. Build a strong profile is an ongoing process, not something you can do once 3 days before you apply for a job. Do this and it will lead, I guarantee you, it will lead to more opportunities. So when you start to think of that field, that area of research, you think that's the person. I've sat on countless conference organizing committees and events and things where somebody will say, oh, we really should have a talk on diversity. And then immediately you go to this place where you're thinking, who have I seen present on diversity issues? And this is where there's an opportunity. If you've done things in this area, you'll be invited to do that and build up that following. Authentic engagements, strengthen those relationships and start small. Don't worry if you can't do all of these things at once. If all you're going to do is pick out a few things to do today, we can talk about this a little bit afterwards, but pick out, a few things that you could do. I often like to break this down as to what I'm going to do in the next kind of 4 days, 4 weeks, 4 months. Putting some easy, quick win stuff in there first. That's often how I plan. So have a think about that. And that's the end of my talk, I feel sure. There we go. And come back to Dementia Researcher.